We'll get started. All right. Good evening, everyone. We'd like to welcome Coach Josh Perez from 360 Athletics. He's going to talk about offensive line play. We'd also like to thank our sponsors for our Hispanic Coaches Association webinar talks, which is Go Route. So, Coach Perez, the floor is yours.
Awesome. Thank you, Coach, for the introduction. Hey, first and foremost, everybody, just want to give a shout out to the association. Thank you all for everything that y'all do and giving back and pouring into the future coaches that are out here. Everyone's just trying to grind right now, finish out the semester and head into summer. So thank you all so much for being here today. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. Let's see. All right. Coach Gomez, is everybody good? Can you see my screen, Coach?
Yes, sir. You're good.
All right. Excellent. All right, guys. Well, hey, I'm excited to talk some O-line play. I know a lot of y'all know me now as a speaker. I've been speaking now for a few years, and I travel all over the country speaking at different schools. But before that, I was an offensive line coach. And so I love talking about O-line play, talking about offense. There's still a lot of buddies of mine that are still in the game, and they call me all the time. Right now, I just got off the phone with a coach that's having trouble running counter. And so they're doing spring ball right now in San Antonio. And so, I love talking O-line play, guys. This is my first passion. It's my first love. This is my baby. I'm passionate about offensive line play. So I'm going to give you all a quick rundown on a little introduction on who I am and what I'm about. And so let me see. All right. So just first and foremost, those of y'all that don't know who I am, I'm from the Valley, the Puro 956. I graduated from Rio Hondo High School. When I was an offensive lineman in Rio Hondo, I was an all-state offensive lineman. I got recruited to play at Abilene Christian University, where I was a four-year starter, a four-time all-conference selection. And after that, I was very fortunate enough to be a former Texas high school offensive coordinator and O-line coach. And so I've lived it. I breathed it. I've been in y'all's shoes. I love what y'all are about. But all my O-line coaches, there's a special love for all of y'all out there that work with the O-line, the trench guys. And so appreciate everything, guys. But I got to give a shout out to some of my mentors along the way, honoring the coaches who poured into me. This is Chris Thompson. He's the deputy head coach at Florida State. He was my head coach at Abilene Christian. He gave a kid like me a shot, an opportunity to go out and play football at ACU. And so I owe a lot of love and respect for him. He taught me how to run a business. And what I mean by that, he was a great manager of running a program. And so I learned so many things about him and how to become a man. Nathan Young, he's the offensive coordinator at Louisiana Tech. Shout out to Coach Young. Not only was he my O-line coach in college, but we were colleagues when we worked at San Antonio Madison together. And then got to give some love to Coach Dan Gomez, my O-line coach in high school. And he was my first boss. He's the AD head football coach in San Benito. So all the love, all the things that I've learned along the way, we're not alone in this. We're stronger when we are together. And so all the mentors out there, big love for y'all. Appreciate everything y'all do. Keep pouring into these young coaches, no matter how much of a headache these young coaches are. Keep pouring into them, love on them, show them the way, lead the way for them. Okay. So appreciate all y'all out there. But going to talk a lot about offensive line development, but I first want to just quickly dive into, how to build an offensive line, how to build a unit that is synced up. You got to set the standard. You got to build that identity. Everywhere that I went from program to program, I took a lot of pride as an offensive line coach, and that was my unit. Those were my guys. And so I always really, really got those kids to buy in. Usually those are the group of kids that a lot of people don't want. They're the D-line coach didn't want them, so now they're on their O-line, and now they're down on themselves. They're unconfident guys. They're usually guys that are bigger guys that have never really been able to have a lot of confidence. And so that's where us coaches come into play. I think as high school coaches, middle school coaches, college coaches, our job is to maximize the potential of every individual we come across, whether they have a lot of talent or a little bit of talent. Our job is to squeeze every ounce of talent out of them. And so we got to build that identity. And so all you O-line coaches that are listening, all you trench coaches out there, hey guys, love on your boys, be tough on them, but set that standard. And the one thing that I've learned as a coach, as a business owner, as a parent, whatever standard that you set, it doesn't matter if you're in the teaching in the classroom or you're coaching out in the field, whatever standards you have, the kids will meet you at those standards. And what I mean by that is if you have low standards and low expectations, then the kids will meet you at those low standards. But if you're a ball coach that has high standards, high expectations, your kids will meet you at those standards. I've been to rich schools. I coached at poor schools. I coached at schools where they said, man, you ain't going to get the kids to buy in. And trust me when I say, guys, whatever standards you all set, that's you got to set the tone with that. And so get those kids to buy in, love on them. It's all about setting the standard and setting the culture for that group. Um, Here we go. Moving on. Okay. All right. So I'm going to dive in real quick, coaching the details and demanding the standard. Every single play, the way that we did things, the way that I did things, you got to grade every single moment, every single play. We're all coaching opportunities out there. Every play matters. It doesn't matter if it was the play going away from you, all that stuff. On the O line, we graded on assignment, technique, and effort. And I learned this from Chris Thompson. We did this in college, and I took it with me at every high school that I worked at. You got to grade every single play. Three things, three criteria. You got to know your assignments. You got to know your job. You got to know your technique. You got to know the fundamentals. And you got to play with fanatical effort, assignment, technique, and effort. And you get a check mark next to that play. Every player gets a check mark or a minus. And we graded players that way. And you got to know your percentage on if you did well on your assignment, your technique, and your effort. And the effort was always a non-negotiable. The effort was kind of one of those things where you should never get any minuses in effort on your assignment and techniques. Hey, sometimes there's a play where things get all jumbled up because of movement or twisting or whatever. There's just a bust. You're going to get some minuses here and there, but hey, we got to make sure that the effort is always there. So every single play, coaches, we got to grade our players. We got to let them know that every play matters, and we got to grade with assignment, technique, and effort. You got to know what you're doing. You got to know how to do it, and you got to play with effort. Okay, this is for all the young OCs out there, all of our old OCs as well. Let's talk more play. And what I mean by that is you got to get your verbiage, all right, to be less. Okay, what I mean by that is I hear a lot of my friends, a lot of people that call me, they say, Josh, how do you do this? How do you do that? How do you block this front? And what did you used to call it? And I'm all about, man, the offensive line, the less verbiage you use, the better. I think that there's a lot of times where we get these scripts and the linemen are hearing all these words and man, they already got a lot on their plate. First of all, they got to go out when they break the huddle and they got to identify the front. They got to know if it's a 4-2 or a 3-2. They got to know the front. They got to know the calls. They got to know their assignment. They got to know the technique. They got to make their calls and their double teams and all that because we're always going to secure first level first. But I hear all these calls and I'm just always like, man, like that is so much verbiage for the offensive line to hear when all of that was not useful for them. So I just wanted to throw this in there. One of my older coaches talked to me today and was like, hey, man, you should really talk about how, the verbiage is so important. You want to make that verbiage clean. You want to make that verbiage easy. The less it is, the better for the offensive line. So it's clean and they can go out there and attack. Cloudy mind equals slow feet. We used to say that a lot. Cloudy mind equals slow feet. We got to know every single assignment that we're doing. Okay, and so I'm about to dive into some film here, guys. I'm about to show y'all some film, but I'm just going to show y'all exactly what we're doing. We're talking about developing offensive line, and today we're going to talk about eyes, feet, hips, punch, and the reaction. Okay, we're going to train all those things, and I believe as an offensive line coach, our job is to develop players year round. Okay, we're in high school football. We don't get the luxury of coaching college and doing things where we get to recruit our players. We're in the business of developing kids. And usually when you're the offensive line coach, you're training up kids that you don't get to pick. They're kids that we're coaching high school football. We don't get to go out and recruit players, okay? At least we shouldn't be. So, guys, we're going to jump right into some footwork drills here. The way that we organize practices, okay, on Mondays was our zone day, okay? Every single week, it doesn't matter what we were doing. On Mondays was our zone day. We were going to work on our inside zone technique, and we were going to work on our outside zone technique. And the way we did that, in fundamentals, when you think about fundamentals, you think about, okay, I'm trying to create as many opportunities as I can for my offensive lineman to develop. Okay. You can do these drills without pads. You can still make contact. You can still be violent with the hands and feet with no contact. This is when I was coaching. We would do this in the off season. We would do this in the mat room. We would find space. We would do this any chance we got to develop and work on our hands and our feet and our punch. That's what we were going to do. And so this is one of our drills. We called it two-step, drive it out. Every time we stepped, we took a zone step and a power step and a punch, we were going to punch with it. Okay. And on the third time, we drove it out. The reason why we did two step, drive it out 3 times is we wanted to create urgency. We wanted to create that mimic and that routine of zone step, power step, and punch, and then reset. We were an up tempo offense. We wanted to get down, get set. We were creating urgency. I always coached at big schools, so we had a lot of offensive linemen. You know, this right here is at 7 o'clock in the morning. We had a whole group of kids there getting that extra work in. Okay, so this is one of those things where you can do this stuff, and you got to year round develop these kids. Okay, so I'm going to show y'all these clips. All right. We're talking about two step, drive it out. This is our zone step. And whenever we take our zone step, we always want to line up. We're taking our zone step to the left here. Okay. And we want to line up that foot alongside the board so we can step alongside that board. Okay. And what I mean by this, well, whenever we're taking that zone step, okay, I treat zone as a lateral zone step. A lot of people will say, Josh, why don't you step forward? Well, if you think about it here, if I'm a left guard and I got a 3 tech to my left, okay, and I step forward at them, and that defender comes screaming up the field. Simple physics, simple leverage. I'm out leveraged. Okay, I'm not going to have the first step. The way that I treat our zone step is that the first step is to get you in position. It's a position step, and then the second step is your power step. All right, it's double P: position step, power step, and then we punch. All right. We always told our kids when we take that position step, we want to grab our guns. We want to get ready to grab our guns. All right. Because then on the second step, on that power step, we're going to shoot. Coaches, at any point in time, if you got questions, feel free to ask. Okay. But right here, we're doing two step, drive it out. We're going to two-step punch. And on the third time, we're driving it out. Our aiming point, our kids know our aiming point. We're aiming at the inside V of the neck. If I were to draw a V on their t-shirts, okay, that's the aiming point that we have. We want our thumbs up. We want to lock on and grab. We're wearing dry fit shirts right here, so it's a little hard to grab. But I've always taught our players we want to control that steering wheel. When it's like you're driving a vehicle, we want to be that 10 and 12 position. Same concept. You want to grab that steering wheel and you want to control the defender. You want to lock on. Okay, we want to let those defenders off the hook. Okay. Going on here, this is second level zone right here. And so the one big thing right here is we get mid board. I always tell the kids, get mid board. All right. And then whenever we're working our zone step, guys, you'll see as we're working our path, we've taken our zone step, our power step. We're power walking through. We don't call it duck walk. We're power walking through because everything's violent. You want to create these words of violence in these kids, right? And so we're power walking through. And right before contact, you notice a lot of coaches I've seen, they're running these drills. I go to a lot of practices and they just have the linebackers kind of just staying still. Guys, the linebackers ain't ever going to stay still. You want to mimic as much as you can that is game-like. And so I always tell the linebackers where to shimmy, and so where to move. And, you know, that's one of the things where we got to teach our linemen right before contact. I want the feet to activate a little faster. Right before contact, I want the feet to go to cut the grass. I used to call it cut the grass. Now everyone has turf, right? But we want to cut that grass. We want to cut that grass with our feet. And then when we punch, we want to lock on to the defenders. Okay, we don't want them to get off. All right. And so that's our second level zone. This is right here, second level zone to the left. Same concept. We're mid board. We're working out power walks. We're trying to lock on. Whenever we have defenders that move, we want to make sure that we aim at the inside V of the neck. We want to get our helmet to the inside V. We never want to be behind the defender because that's when holds get called on. And so this is right here, our second level zone. Okay, outside level work and backside scoops right here. So, and the backside of scoop, we used to call it bucket step. I call it an open step. Okay, and in college we called it a bucket step. Now I like to open up our hips. Okay, the reason why I call it open step, I like to open our hips to the sideline. We really want to lose ground to gain ground. Just like simple physics, we talk about leverage. We talk about physics all the time. We need our kids to really open up here and run and scoop out that backside on outside zone. Okay, we're really trying to get low through rip through the hip and really scoop out that backside. These are called scoop blocks, okay, on the backside of the zone. And so these are simple footwork drills that we do. That first step is called the open step. You want to open up towards the sideline and you want to cross and you want to roll, okay? A lot of times kids like to feel with their hands. When you feel with your hands, you start to slow down. All right, this is outside level, second level zone. So right here, guys, a lot of times our linemen, for whatever reason, it didn't matter everywhere that I went, a lot of kids struggle here with this one right here, okay? I always tell you want to aim to where the defender's going to be, not where he's at. And you got to teach this to the offensive line. You got to tell them where the ball's going. A lot of times, coaches, we don't teach offensive line where the ball is going. Guys, coaches, I highly recommend teach them where whatever you call outside zone, teach them where the ball's going. Whatever you call inside zone, teach them where the ball is going so they understand the leverage on the plays. Okay. They got to understand the linebacker is going to move. They're not going to sit still on second level zone. They're going to flow to the sideline. And so we want to take that good angle, go to where he's going to be, not where he's at. Okay. An outside zone, our aiming point is the outside tip of the shoulder pad. Okay. We want to aim at the outside tip of the shoulder pad. All right, we're really trying to get our helmet across and really trying to latch on to the linebacker. We used to always yell, lock on. We want to lock on the defenders and not let them go. And we want to ride them. We want to take them for a ride. Usually when the linebacker's flowing like that, they got a lot of momentum going towards the sideline. We want to ride them, and then finish them. Okay. And we always talk about finishing. We were big on giving out awards for pancake blocks. We were big on awards for finishing blocks and all the things. And so reward your players, guys. Treat them, let them know that it's okay to be violent. Okay, these kids have been big their whole life, and they're always taught to be nice. Don't be messing with your little brother or your older brother because they're big kids. But guys, in football, we got to tell them how to be tough. We got to teach them to play with violence. Okay. All right, here we go. So here we go. We were very fortunate to have an indoor sled. Guys, we would take advantage, complete advantage of this. As you see, the centers are always snapping. The centers are always going to snap the football. All right. And as we're working our footwork here, we're working our zone step to our right. Now they're working the zone step to the left, and we're driving. We want to punch. We want to get under the armpit of that pad. We want to work our power walk. And that's sleds, guys. They get heavy, man. If you don't have one, I highly recommend you look for one, you invest in one. There's a lot of people out there that are looking to get rid of these. I see these as a luxury item. We put these in our mat room, our portable, where this was our O-line room, man. We had our own room where we had two 20-foot sleds. It was incredible. We put in a lot of work in this. We do a variety of drills, but this is one of the luxuries that we had in having this indoor sled. And so all you coaches out there that have centers, man, always have your center snapping the football. You'll never catch us not snapping. We're always going to take advantage. The centers have their footballs. They put their name, we put their initials on them. That was their football. They took pride in taking care of their footballs. That was all the things that they would do. But this was an extra luxury item that we had was our sled, our indoor sled. I won't bore y'all with some footwork stuff that we did. Now I'm going to get into the hips, okay? All right. So here we got some hurdles, guys. I know hurdles are big on a lot of different strength and conditioning coaches. I'm big on hurdles. One thing that we started doing later in my career, we started adding the dynamics, a little pop to it. I want these kids to move. I want them to get on the tiptoes. I want them to move fluidly like a track kid. Okay. So right here, they're very stagnant. They got their heels in the ground. I want them to get up on them toes now. Okay. We want to get that movement going. All right. And so this was one of the things that we always worked on to get hip movement, hip flexibility. Any coaches out there that you have the luxury of doing pre-practice, man, I highly recommend including, all the different footwork drills and hip mobility that you can. We got to get our bigs loose. Okay. We got to have great hips. Okay. Sometimes in our culture with the Mexicanos, man, we don't got good hips. I'll be honest with y'all, man. We got to get these kids to be fluid in their hips and bend. We got to create good knee bend and hip bend, and we got to get low. So having the luxury of having hurdles next to your pit, your O-line, where you work your O-line out, man, that's a luxury. Okay. So get them hurdles out to the weight room or whatever you're doing. And there's a variety of drills you can do. But you could always look it up, guys. There's some great things that are doing with hip work on hurdles. This is one of my favorite things that we did was our 6-point explosion in the mat room. Okay. You can see the defenders, behind them are really trying to get those toes tucked in, trying to give them some leverage, right? But we would do a hit. Okay. We'd blow the whistle twice. The first one, they grab their guns. Second one, they unlock the hips. As you can see, when you're doing this, it forces you to unlock the hips while you're applying pressure onto a pad. All right. This is one of my favorite drills to help offensive linemen unlock the hips. Okay. You could do this against the shield. You can do this against the moving object, whatever it is that you you have at your schools, make sure, guys, that you are unlocking your hips. This is one of the most beneficial things that you could do is helping your linemen unlock their hips. That's the whole reason why we do power clean. That's the whole reason why we do snatch, hang clean. We're trying to get that hip explosion so our kids can play with violence. Hip thrusters, guys, big on hip thrusters, man. Anytime you could, this is an elementary version. This was one of our kids that struggled. He had horrible hips. And when he first got to high school, man, his hips were awful. He could barely do a half squat. And so I love this kid. He had a great attitude, man. He would always show up extra early to get that hip mobility in. He was always going to do the extra things to try to compete, to try to earn a spot. And so, man, we got to develop our kids. Like I told you earlier, we don't have the luxury of recruiting kids like Coach Marco Regalado. I saw him come in here. Okay, we don't have the luxury of recruiting our players. We got to coach what we got. And so, love you, Coach Marco. I hope you're doing well, bud. All right, but love doing some hip thrusters, guys. You got to fall in love with the process, man. As offensive line coaches, you got to get creative. Okay, we didn't have kettlebells. Okay, so we're doing dumbbell swings, and we're just trying to learn how to unlock the hips, how to get that bend back into forward, and unlocking the hips and getting that extension. Okay. Sometimes when we have our offensive linemen, you have to get creative with what you got. Okay, and so really love all the hip mobility stuff. Now I'm going to get into the punch. Coaches, are there any questions so far? Any questions in the chat? Coach Gomez, you can help me out. Once I get rolling, man. If there's any questions in the chat that pop up, please let me know, Coach Gomez. I'm going to continue on with the punch.
Yes, sir. I got you.
So I love these bands, guys. If you got bands in your weight room, man, we're always going to try to mimic the footwork with the punch. Okay, we want to stab that punch. We want to fire that punch out while we're doing some footwork, where we're doing our post step or our slide step. This is all very important. I try to get this kid had weak triceps. Okay, he had long arms. He was a 6'3" kid. His arms were very weak, and so you can see how he's struggling there to hold that green band out to the extension. I always wanted them to get their elbows locked because that's when we're powerful. Whenever we punch, we want to unlock those elbows, just like how we want to unlock the hips. And so you can see this kid, that band right there is putting some fire in them triceps, man. But this is all developing that torque, that punch, and that shot right there. We want to strike our defenders. We want to put a hole in their chest. This is one of our kids. He was obviously a 2-year starter at Texas A&M Kingsville. Great story. This kid, whenever we showed up there to this program, he was 180 pounds, and he reminded me a lot of myself because I was a real skinny, scrawny kid in high school, and we developed him. We got him some mass weight gainers. We fed him really good PB&Js, guys, and he was one that was all in. He got to be about 260 pounds his senior year, so he gained 80 pounds, and so very proud of the kid. He really, really bought into the program, what he's about, and obviously got very strong. So doing plate punches is no joke. All right. One of my favorite drills right here, guys. If you're working your strike and your kids are having a hard time striking defenders, man, doing our medicine ball punch drills are something that is impeccable, guys. It not only does it work on the timing of the strike, but it also works on having your hands close together. Okay. Sometimes I see offensive linemen where they punch and their hands are wide. We want to have our hands tight. We want to protect our numbers when we're in our stance, but when we strike, we want to strike together. Okay. These medicine balls, they're weighted sand medicine balls, and so they have a little give to them, but they're heavy. And so we love these medicine ball punches right here. We also want to mimic hopping up out of your set. Okay. When you get up out of your set, when you're in your 3-point stance or your 2-point stance, we want to fire up. We used to call it pull the weed out of the ground. We like pretend there's a weed wrapped around that wrist, and you're in that stance. You're in that 3-point stance, and you got to fire that weed up to your chest because we want to get that. We want to pop up and protect our numbers. Okay. We don't want to ever expose our chest. I used to tell our kids, pass pro is like boxing, man. You don't want, you never see a boxer go into the ring without protecting their face. Just like boxers, we want to protect our numbers. We want to protect our chest. Okay, so give these kids cues on helping them when they get out of that stance. We want to protect their numbers. We want to protect their chest. Okay, so this is a great drill for striking. I'll go on to the next one. I got a lot of film for y'all guys. We have a question.
Yes, sir. Marco just asked, do you have any ways that you can work single arm punch with these modalities, like with bands and some version of plate punches?
Yeah.
I guess,
Love it. Love it. I love single arm punches. I love it. So we used to do this drill. I didn't get it on film. Okay. But we did this drill where they were about arm's length away and we would work on our right arm jab. We'd work on left arm jabs and just working those single arm punches are so important. We even do some arm combats where the defender's arms are already on the chest of the offensive line and we learn how to swipe and punch, swipe and punch. We learn how to swipe away and swipe down. Those are very, very crucial veteran coaching points for offensive line. So thank you. Who was that asked that question, Coach? Was it Marco?
yes, sir.
Awesome. Great question, Coach Marco. Appreciate you. But yes, guys, those are some awesome veteran moves right there for single arm punches on the medicine balls or on a defender. Okay. This is another drill right here, sled punch and extend. This is just another way to unlock the hips, okay? Let me go back to the first one. All right, so you see the kid here on the right here. He's really one of those where we really try to get him to unlock his hips, okay? And so you can see them all when they finish, they're up on them toes. They're working on their two-step punch and unlock the hips, okay? This is a great drill to take away, like let's just say after a leg workout, their legs are shot. Hey, man, this is a great drill to start unlocking the hips and create some violence, man. We want to create violent punches and violent extensions with these kids. I'll go to the next one. So this is one of my favorite things. Okay, I love this right here. If you got bands and you got some plates, guys. Put that rubber band through them plates and put it around, guys. When you punch a defender, those of y'all that haven't played offensive line, when you punch a defender, they're not stagnant defenders. They're not going to stop moving. So you got to work those muscle fibers that are around your shoulders and your chest. Okay, if you're striking and the defender, is moving, those muscle fibers are going to activate, and so we got to get those muscle fibers activated. Right here, we're working the eccentric, decentric movements, and so we're going 1001, 1002, 1003, boom, punch and explode. We want to create that violence on that third count, okay? You could see the bar moving. You could see the muscles activating around their chest area. If you have a Bosu ball, those big old medicine balls where people do abs on. If you got one of those balls, guys, those are also great to hold and have another kid punching them, and you're still working those muscle fibers around it. But guys, this is one of those things where this is one of those drills. I love it. I love it. You can do it on bench. You can do it on incline. On the incline, you could definitely see the fibers activate, the muscles twitching. That weight is moving. This kid has an awesome punch. You can see that weight bouncing and moving around. This kid had an excellent punch in his game. Okay, here we go. Reaction. Okay, here we go. The eyes. All right, so we did this drill. We're going to start getting into a little bit of pass pro here with our eyes. But coaches, we got to develop the eyes. I feel like so many of us, we spend so much time pouring into the punch, the footwork, getting bigger, stronger, faster, great. But we got to work on the eyes. And one of the coaching cues, man, I was at this one practice. I won't say at what school. Saw the coaches coaching up the O-line, man. And this kid was struggling. And the coach was behind him. He was coaching him up. But man, when I got to the front angle, I saw the kid's eyes. They were down on the ground. So we got to start coaching from the front and coaching from the back. We got to see these kids' eyes, okay? Start training the eyes to eye their keys. This drill is called 66 drill. And the reason why it's called 66 drill is because we move 6 and 6. All right, I'm going to dive into a little bit of pass pro here. When you're in pass pro, guys, when they're in their stance right there, if I pause it when they stop moving, let me pause it right there, right here in their stance. If I put a plate of glass right down this offensive player right here, all right, there should be 3 points of contact with the plate of glass. The plate of glass should be touching their nose, knees, and toes. What I mean by that, if I had a plate of glass going down their body, it would have 3 points of contact, their nose, knees, and toes. We don't want to lean too forward on pass pro because if you lean, you lose. And that if I'm leaning too forward and it's only touching my nose, that ain't good. If I'm too far back and my weight's too much on my heels, I'm going to get bull rush, man. So there's 3 points of contact. All you young coaches, veteran coaches on pass pro, 3 points of contact, nose, knees, and toes, and a plate of glass on pass pro. Okay. And then we got to have our hands protecting our numbers, just like boxers. Okay. Protect them numbers. All right. And then when we're talking about our base here, young offensive linemen struggle with this, okay? Pretend there is a rubber band around your ankles, all right? And when we get the feet shoulder width apart, that band is tight. It's not going to go loose on my ankles. It's tight. And then if I step to my left, all right, if I step with my left foot, I got to go 6 inches and I got to bring my right foot 6 inches. So that's why this drill is called 66, because if we move to our left, the left foot moves first and then the right foot. If I accidentally move my right foot first and my feet come together, then that means that band is going to come loose out of my ankles. This is one of the hardest things to teach offensive linemen, is to have proper pass pro position, okay? We want to make sure that we have that rubber band tight around our ankles, no matter if we're moving right or left, okay? So this is 66 drill. I love this drill. This is an elementary drill for young pass proers. We want to make sure our kids are moving in the right direction. If I point left, they ought to be moving with their left foot first. If I point to the right, they ought to be moving with the right foot first. Their feet should never come together, because that means that band came loose, okay? And so this is a good drill. So there's a progression to it. The next drill, we do it half speed, or let me see if this is full speed. Then we start moving. We pop out of our stance. Okay, they're going full speed here, okay? Usually with this, I do 66 drill, I do half speed, and then I do full speed mirror drill. And on this drill right here, guys, they're looking at me. We're doing a mirror drill. They're in their pass pro position. They're gaining ground on whichever way I have them point to and set to. Pop, boom, they're moving to their left. Now they're moving to the right. Now they're moving to the left. And they're reacting, okay? Just like in pass pro, we got to react, okay? Slow feet don't eat. We always tell our kids, the slow feet don't eat, man. We want to eat. So we're trying to get these feet on point. We got to get the eyes on point, okay? This is an agility drill. Guys, I was also, not only was I the offensive coordinator, but I was always the strength and conditioning coordinator as well. And so I incorporated a lot of our drills to be sport specific, okay? I could never stand when, you go to some schools and there's kids out there, linemen are running 400-meter dash. Like, come on, guys. Like, when is a lineman ever going to run 400 meters, right? And so I always try to mimic as much sport specific as possible. I'm a big component of, doing as much O-line work, as much sport specific drills as possible. Okay. These are all great reaction drills here. I want to get into the nitty gritty here with some more stuff here. So let me get into some of our combo block stuff. All right. Okay, guys. Any questions right now? Is everybody good, Coach Gomez?
Yes,
Excellent.
sir.
Okay,
Yes,
cool.
sir. All good. No questions so far.
Awesome. All right, guys. Hey, so I'm going to start getting into some down blocks here. All right. I always use the field to my advantage. Okay. I'm always going to use markers like the line right there, the goal line. We want to make sure on our down blocks that we're stepping across the defender. We want to aim at the backside hip of the defender on our down blocks. We want our helmet to get across the defender. You'll see here, with the way that I coach offensive line, I always want to attack that back hip. Okay. Now, I always teach worst case scenario. If you're an offensive line coach and you're not teaching your kids to think worst case scenario every single play, we are putting our kids at a disadvantage. Every single play, the kids should know that they should be expecting the worst case scenario, whether it's a stunt, a slant, a twist, a spin move, whatever it is. Okay. And so the way that I teach down blocks, we want to have one hand on the back hip and one hand on the front. And if we get a spinner, if we get a person that spins, we want to control that defender with our hands. We want to fight pressure with pressure. I'm a big fan of wrestling. If you have a wrestling program, put your offensive linemen, it's non-negotiable. They should be in there grappling. They should be in there fighting pressure with pressure. They should be in there understanding how to move their hands, how to move, torque and move the body. It's very important that they learn how to fight pressure with pressure. And I feel like if you have a wrestling program, it's an advantage to have your offensive linemen in there.
Hey, Coach, we
And so
just got a question from Coach Jimmy Ramos. He was asking, how do you teach depth on your pass pro?
Depth as far as like our slide step, our post step. What is he exactly talking about?
No specifics just yet. He was just he broad question on how do you teach depth on your pass pro?
Yeah. So first and foremost, guys, I think of alignment. There's three tiers of alignment for me. Okay. There's an A, B, C alignment. A alignment is like the Philadelphia Eagles when they're doing that quarterback sneak. Okay. All right. A alignment is as close as tight to the football as possible. B alignment is helmet to the rib cage of the center. And then C alignment, which I personally love, I love being as far back as possible. Okay, where we're trying to really break the hip of the center and barely. I want the referee to tell us to scoot up. Okay, I'm a big fan of getting as far back as possible because especially when you're playing against teams that slant, blitz, come off the ball, you want to have reaction time for your linemen to be able to lock on to defenders. If they're playing A and B alignment and they're going against a really quick D tackle and you're putting your kid at a disadvantage, man, get them back, give them space to react. So as far as depth goes, coach, it completely depends on the alignment of the defender. If I'm a tackle and I got a type 5, I'm not kicking very far. I'm picking up my foot and putting it right down. If I got a ghost 9, a really far wide 9 technique, I am getting depth on my kick, and I'll show you here in a second what that looks like. It's called our fastball technique. Okay, I'm going to get into some combo blocks here, guys. All right, this is a big one. If we do this same technique here on inside zone and on gap scheme, okay? This is our gallop technique. We took this from the Pittsburgh Steelers back in the day when they were really good at running power and counter and gap scheme. So our gallop step, guys, we want to take an inside lateral step and we want to come together and we want to unlock there on the hip of the defender, okay? So this is like a 3 technique. This kid is playing tackle right now. He's the tackle galloping down on a 3 technique. We always want to mimic right here, and we want to aim at that defender, okay? We want to bam, ba, bam. We call it like a horse. We want to bam, ba, bam. A lot of coaches out there, this is where the big theory of offensive line, okay? All right, coach, why don't you use your hand? Why don't you strike with your hand? Coaches, I'm going to be honest with y'all, man. Playing the position, I've used my hand before, and when you have a lot of violence, man, you're going to hurt your hand. You're going to hurt your wrist, okay? I don't know about y'all, but if I was in a room and my house was on fire and I was locked up in my room, I'll be honest with y'all, I'm gonna use my shoulder to break down that door. If a truck is stuck in mud, I ain't using my hands. I'm using my shoulders to get that truck out of that mud, okay? And so if I was in a burning house and I'm trying to run through a wall, I'm going to use my shoulders. So that's why we do this drill right here, okay? The tackle here is going to go bam, ba, bam with his foot technique and a lateral step, come back together and boom, unlock right there on the hip. All right. We teach this technique on our combo blocks. It's a gallop step technique. He's going to go bam, ba, bam. All right, here we go. He's going to unlock right there on that defender's hip. Bam, ba, bam, right there. Okay. And then we want to add the next component to it, which is our pop and turn step right here. Now he's playing the guard position. Okay, on a 3 technique right here, he's going to pick up his foot and put it down. There is no need to take an inside step on a pop and turn step, okay? Right here, he's playing left guard. He has a 3 technique. They're working their combo block, and he is picking up his foot and putting it down. His eyes are on that linebacker that is there inside, okay? Now listen, all right, coach, why isn't he taking an inside step? Well, if he takes an inside step, he's going to remove himself from this technique. We want to try to keep our surface area strong there so that there's no leakage on this. Whenever the tackle comes and does his gallop step and this guard is doing the pop and turn step, there's a complete wall of mass right there, and that 3 tech is going to get exploded onto, and we're going to drive him back. Remember, guys, our rule on all of our run schemes is always to secure first level. We will always gain yards on offense if we secure first level. I could give a damn about going off into second level. As a matter of fact, the first 2 weeks of the season, you can see the way that we used to coach offensive line. I didn't care about blocking linebackers. I wanted to dominate first level, and we were going to freaking drive these defenders back and put them on the lap of the linebacker, okay? And then we would progress into going on to linebackers, okay? But for simplicity's sake, this is what it looks like right here when you come together. All right. Now, I would like that guard to come off with a little more violence. I want him to get his helmet involved on this, but obviously he doesn't have a helmet. I would really get upset with him right here because he didn't get his helmet involved. But I'm just kidding, guys. All right. We got to be smart on this. All right. We don't want to keep their heads out. But the tackles rule on this is when that guard leaves, you fit up with your hands, okay? So when that guard leaves, we're unlocking with our shoulder, but when that guard leaves, we fit up with our hands because we want to control the defender. Right here, the guard is working his pop and turn technique. His eyes are inside. When that linebacker shoots, after they get momentum, boom, pop off. This is a great technique to use on the backside of inside zone. This is a great technique to use on the front side of gap scheme. This is another 3 tech right here. The tackle does an excellent job of launching the defender over. That's what the gallop step is for, okay? That's the whole purpose of it is you want to come down, unlock the defender, launch them, let the guard take over, and then work your track to linebacker, okay? I want him to finish there with a little more violence, okay? But he does a good job of unlocking that three tech over, launching him over, and coming up on linebacker. Here to we got some game tape here, guys. You can see here, this is against Harlingen High School. Any Cardinals in here? Sorry, guys. This is just some old film that I'm just putting it together. But you can see the left guard and left tackle up here. Guys, I'm telling y'all, sometimes I'll be honest with y'all, I just want to dominate first level, man. And so this defense, I love Coach Manny Gomez. He's a good friend of mine. I knew that his defense was always going to be super aggressive. And so we were always going to try to get as far back as possible on our alignment. And we were always going to dominate first level, man. That's just our thing. And so they're working the pop and turn combo block right here, working the gallop technique. And so great job right here on these guys. Okay, this is another technique right here. So we're working gap scheme right here. Okay, we're working down blocks. All right. All of a sudden they shifted into a bear front. Okay. And so now you're going to see the communication. There's no double teams here. All right, on gap scheme, on counter right here, everyone's blocking down. I could hear our offensive line when they would shift into this formation. We knew we had an automatic down call, down when they would shift to this front. Okay, and you're going to see a whole wall of defenders, the down block. Okay, everybody's blocking down. Now, our right tackle here, I got on to him here because when he made contact, his helmet was not on the opposite side. I want his helmet to get on the front side of the defender. I don't want it to be behind. And so you can see on contact there, his helmet is behind. I love the kid. He was one of my favorite football players I ever coached. I've coached some really good players here, man. And he was a quarterback. He was our backup quarterback. Our right tackle got hurt, and man, you know what? That kid stepped up. He said, "Coach, I'll play tackle. I just want to get on the field." And you know what, man? That kid bought in. He was a quarterback playing offensive tackle, and you know what? He was one of the best players I ever coached, man. Love the kid. All right, this is against Edinburgh High School here. Let me see what play is this. The right tackle, right guard do a phenomenal job of really just unlocking on the defender there. You can hear on the point of contact, guys, when you know you got a good double team is when they make contact together. When this double team comes together and they unlock on that three technique together, bam, and then they're pushing the linebacker and boom, they unlock on the linebacker and they finish. Man, that's when you know you got a good squad, man. You got to teach this violence, okay? You got to coach with violence. You got to coach with urgency. When you're coaching offensive line, man, you should be having them kids finish every single play, okay? And they should be rewarded for this too, okay? It's tough to get finishing blocks, man. It's tough to put people on their backs. And so we got to reward our players for doing things right the right way. And so great job on those two for finishing that block. This is another clip here on the left side. The left guard, left tackle here working another double team block right there. They do an excellent job of really expanding space. We want to drive defenders down the field, okay? When I talk about getting movement, we want to drive defenders and put them on the laps of linebackers, and that's exactly what they did right here. They put that linebacker, that three tech down on the lap of the linebacker, and there's some good stuff right there, guys. Guys, if y'all ever want to talk counter game or any type of run scheme, guys, I have so many different varieties of run schemes. We were running a lot of counter, a lot of power read. This is an adjustment that we did for this particular team. We knew against this formation that we were going to get a 5-1 box on empty. Whenever the tackle, we didn't want him to block down because we knew that the end on power read was going to squeeze and the quarterback was going to be forced to give it. Well, we ran a different variation. We knew we were going to get a 5-1 box, so we did a power read, but we had an adjustment call. We had a tag for the left tackle to block base. And so let me go back here. And so the tackle is gonna be based on the end, and you're gonna see here the guard pulls up for that Mike backer. It's a 4-1 box, and it's 5-on-5 guys, and it's a walk-in touchdown. I mean, you got to get creative, guys. If you have run scheme concept, you have inside zone, outside zone, gap scheme. You see the left tackle making the call right here. You see, and this is built into the offense, guys. He's making that call. He's telling the tackle. He's telling the guard he's gonna be base. He's basing out the end. Boom, guard fits up on the linebacker, and we score, man. So have Get creative, guys. You got to get creative with what you got. We're coaching high school football. All right. And sometimes the schemes are going to not fit with the defense that you're going against. You got to make it fit as far as getting creative with your schemes. Okay. We can adjust our blocking schemes, but we got to be great teachers. And I know a lot of us here on the call today are great teachers. I just want to give a shout out to that right tackle again here. He tore his ACL, guys, his first game of his senior year. This is like, the doctor gave him some cortisone shots, man. He taped up his knee. He wouldn't practice all week. He would just play on game days, guys. Watch the right tackle right here. Does a phenomenal job of unlocking on this defender here. This is against Los Fresnos right here. Him and the guard are double teaming this 3 technique right here. Boom. And that's how you finish with violence, man. This kid just wanted to play football. This is all possible, guys. He was a quarterback. So all this stuff can be coached. And so whatever athletes y'all got, man, keep coaching them up. Let me see if I can get to some other things here. Okay, I know I want to get to pass pro. I want to get
it says from Zapata Hawks #1 fan. He's like, do you have any film from the fall of 2008 Rio Hondo versus Zapata?
Don't tell me Marco said that. Did Marco say that?
Yes, sir.
Pinche Marco. Marco, that film is burned, bro. I'm so glad that we didn't have huddle back then because there's no proof of Zapata that day over there back in Bobcat Stadium. So chill out, Marco. But guys, talking about pass pro here real quick. I know I got like 5 minutes left before I do some Q&A. Coaches, if you got linemen and you're working on hips, man, I love this drill. This is a bull and sink drill where they're still working their 6'6" as they're getting depth on pass pro, but they're learning how to fight pressure with their hips, guys. If you can get the players to put their hands behind their back and fight pressure with their hips, this is an incredible drill. And there's progressions to this drill. There's bull and sink. There's bull and pull. You'll see here in a second. Here, bull, pull. And I blow the whistle, guys. And you can do this full group. I do this with like 20 kids at a time. They're all paired up. I blow the whistle. They know to pull. I blow the other whistle. They know to push. And so they're working on the bull and they're working on the pull. Okay, this is a great drill to fight pressure with pressure. Okay. This is another progression right here. This kid, he was kind of one of our kids that would play guard. That was what we wanted him to play, was guard. But we were short on tackles, man. So he was kind of that kid that would play guard and tackle. So he's very raw with his footwork here. It ain't very good because he's a guard and he's a big kid. But this is our board kick progression, okay? I called it whistle kick. Every time I blow the whistle once, they kick once. I blow the whistle again, they kick twice. I blow the whistle a third time, boom, they run them off the board. Now here, the whole point of the end of the drill, he didn't finish this drill the right way, okay? When you get to the top leverage of where the quarterback is at on his 3-step drop, we want to lock onto the defender and run him up the field, okay? He did not do that job. He did not do a good job here. Let's see if he does it here. And so he's kicking, he's buzzing, he's working on footwork. There we go. We want to run him upfield, okay? Another progression is where we work the spin technique at the top. I always tell them defenders ain't just going to run by, man. High school defenders, yes. But when you get to a good edge rush defender, when they get to that quarterback leverage and they run past them, man, they're going to rework and work a spin or work back inside. So we got to be ready to have a hand on the back and make sure they don't spin. All right. This is going to be the next one's going to be our board kick, our fastball kick. For the coach over there and that asked that question, how much depth? If you're going against an odd front team and you got an outside linebacker blitzing, you gotta work your fastball kicks. Okay, if you're not working your fastball kicks, you're putting your tackles at a disadvantage, man. And I'm a vertical kick guy. I'm not a slide kick guy. I'm a vertical kick guy, 100%. I want to make sure our kids are getting depth on their kick. We want to make sure that we're working our 66, our that rubber band's tight, and then when we make contact, we unlock on the defender. Okay. Let me show y'all some film on this right here. So this is the right tackle that I told y'all that was quarterback. Our left tackle got hurt. He was going against the guy that was really good. So just for this week against Harlingen that week, we switched them, man. We said, man, we don't want our rookie tackle to be on a mismatch. So we switched them, man, and we put our best on their best. And this was one of the things where I really think it's important to understand your personnel. He's working his fastball kick here. This was a all valley running back here that they would put in on pass pro situations, man. And our tackle here does a really good job of not letting that kid just get pressure on that quarterback. He's working his fastball kick. He opens up, boom, runs him up the field, runs him up the field. Does a really good job there of running him up the field. Okay, so he's working it. He's usually a right tackle. He's working his left tackle kick, fastball, fastball, turn and run, boom, turn and run, and runs him right by the quarterback. Let's see what this is right here. Oh, guys, throwback screens. Okay, guys, if y'all ever just want to talk offense, I know we're talking about all line play, but guys, I'm a big fan of all this stuff, man. I like I said, I used to be an offensive coordinator. I love talking ball, and so let me see, where am I at here? Can
Yeah,
y'all still see me, Coach?
yeah, you're good, Coach.
Awesome. I just want to take this time. I know I got 8 minutes, man. The Spurs are playing tonight, so I know everybody's amped up for the Spurs. Coaches, all of y'all, Coach Moose, Coach Marco Regalado, Coach Garza, all y'all guys, any questions, man? I'm here. Appreciate all of you for joining today. We're talking about offensive line development. And remember, it's year-round development, coaches. We don't get the luxury of recruiting players. So I'm just going to open this up. Q&A. Anybody have any questions for me? I know I'm a speaker now, but guys, I'm still an O-line coach at heart. So y'all can call me, text me anytime. Here, I'm actually going to put my number in the chat here. Y'all shoot me a text with your name and I'll lock you in, man. And anytime you got any questions, if you're doing spring ball right now and you got some questions on scheme, man, that's my cell phone number. All right. I'm all about, hooking up our coaches with some content, man, hooking up our coaches with some free game. I'm not in the game anymore. So this is all free game. Coaches, any questions for me?
Hey, Coach, I got one. You talked about incentives twice through your presentation, and I was going to ask you, what exactly do you incentivize for your players? Is it more an individual? Is it a group? Is it a team? Since I know you were OC too, so I'm open to ideas.
Yeah. So, coach, first and foremost, in the off season, for our group of guys, we had a board where the kids got to see their attendance Monday through Friday, and they got a check mark for when they were there, and they got a minus when they weren't there. Kids that were there all week, coach, on the offensive side, I'd bring tacos, coach, and I love feeding our players. I love, like, hey man, you're coming in for extra work before school, after school, and you were here all week, man. I'm going to reward you, man. Like, that's awesome. As far as incentives during the season, man, if our kids got pancakes, we would hook them up. We had a pancake of the week award. I'd hook them up with McDonald's pancakes, coach. The kids love some Mickey D's pancakes. Coach, we even had some other awards that I will not say that we did, but we did some other things too. Where there we go. I muted him, coach. You're good. We had an offensive team award, coach, where like if the offensive line, if we had if we ever rushed for 400 yards, coach, it was going to be an automatic pizza party, and the O line didn't have to hit the sled the following week, coach. Because if any of y'all know the way that I rolled on the sled, guys, it was like a workout from hell for those kids. And they basically what I would do is we'd start the season on a 6-play drive. And every week as the season went on, we added a play to that sled drive. And so we do our work on the sled. And every single week, man, we added a play. By the end of the year, guys, when you're in the playoffs, you're already like at 18 something plays. Like you're going deep, man. So these kids would hit the sled, drive it 5 yards each play for 18 plays in a row. I mean, that's a lot of work right there, man. So the kids loved it, man. We did it a few times. Pizza party for the whole group, and the O line loved not hitting the sled. And what we would do is, coach, instead of hitting the sled, we'd run routes and little quick one-on-one routes, coach. Slants, hitches, now screens, all that stuff. So those are some awesome little incentives right there. Appreciate you, Coach Gomez.
Excellent, Coach. Excellent. Anyone else got questions for
I got
Coach?
one. Yeah. So you talk about again, like not being able to recruit and stuff like that. So how how do you bring out physicality in some kids? Again, like let's say like put yourself at a 3A school where you may only have 7 bodies that can be offensive linemen. And that might be what you got. What are some things you do to bring out physicality out of those kids that may not naturally just have that dog in them? Maybe when you don't have a big pool of athletes to choose from, and sometimes you've seen it. We're going to put the 5'7", 180-pound dude because he's got that shit on his neck. He can do it. But again, just in those situations where Zapata, I wasn't naturally that dude. It was something that we kind of worked on, and mental things and stuff like that. But just wanted to hear your kind of aspect or what you guys do to manufacture that physicality. I mean, I'm finding myself doing that with recruiting running backs who we're recruiting them because of their running ability. And then, we're asking a pass pro and pick up 240 pounds, 6'3" linebackers, which is, again, that's why I get paid. That's my job, which we're finding ways to do that, and again seeing that progression of that. But again, guys that are not naturally physical in that sense, again, they run hard, but it's a different story. When you're got a blitzing linebacker trying to run through your face and you're trying to stop the charge. So that's just general question.
Yeah. Yeah, no, great question, Coach. It's a real question. It's something that happens a lot. And, two things that automatically come to mind for me is the way that you coach, right? If you, coach very passively and, you're more of like everyone coaches their own style, right? Now, I'm not ever trying to, but when you coach the O-line, man, you got to coach with passion. You got to coach with purpose. And so the way that you coach, if you have a violent tone to you, even with the way you say hut, like ready hut, like, you got to come off, man. Like we're going to punch, we're going to strike. The way that you coach, I think, can really feed into kids. But the second thing, Coach, and the most important thing is the confidence that you build in your players. And the way that I think that as high school coaches and middle school coaches, the way that you can instill confidence in them is by not only adding tools to their tool bag, right? We got to add all these things. You talked about a mismatch with the running backs blocking a 240-pound linebacker. Man, you got to add some tools to that tool bag because they're mismatched, bro. And so when you talk about being mismatched in the offensive line, when I'm 5'8", 170 pounds, and I'm going against a D tackle that's way bigger and stronger than me, man, you got to have that kid's confidence to the roof. And the only way that I know how to do that is by putting in the work and the extra tools that you add to his tool bag. As high school coaches, the only thing that we get to control is, the maximization of what we pour into our kids. And so, showing up to putting in that extra work, getting them stronger in the weight room, man, that builds confidence in these young offensive linemen. It gives them that confidence to go strike. And then when you teach them, hey, man, I saw that you went, you were out leverage on this block. Hey, man, next time try this. When you start adding these little tools to their tool bag, man, they start to feed on it and they get that confidence going. So confidence and the way you coach, I think, is crucial for these kids when they're mismatched and out leveraged. Thank you, Coach.
I
Anyone else? We
appreciate
got
you.
questions for Coach.
I guess another one, how important is middle school development? I think, again, a lot of these things, a lot of these guys are waiting till they get to high school. Shit, sometimes even waiting till they get to varsity to start implementing these things. I think there's a lot of merit. And again, now maybe this is not a question, but just speaking in general, like, hey, take some time to get down to your junior highs, and either you're doing it yourself or you're going to have to coach somebody up that you trust to be able to do it. But I know when I was at PSJ Memorial and other spots, I'd spend 2-3 times a week going down to the middle school, because again, you teach them that, then that's less crap you got to do and reteach and break bad habits when by the time they get to you at the varsity level and stuff like that. But I can see if you develop good habits and just create a farm system of offensive linemen. I don't know. Did you get to do that at San Benny or anything like that?
Yeah, no, for sure. We had the one thing that I would highly take advantage of, guys, if you don't already do it, is do a middle school training for your coaches before this year starts. When you can pour into those young coaches and middle school coaches and teach them and have a funnel system of development for your guys so that they already know what 66 drill is. They already know what two-step punch is. They already know the fundamentals that you are ingraining in their brain so that it's just like it becomes, like the back of their hand. So super important to go down there to middle schools. I was always one of those guys. The middle school coaches loved me because I was an extra pair of hands and eyes for them. But I wouldn't just go and just sit there. I was in there, man. If they're in the weight room, I was going to coach them up on the weight room, as a weight room guy. If they were doing football stuff, man, I was going to be with the O-line coach and we were going to be doing some stuff. If they needed a coach to coach the quarterbacks, I was going to go do that, guys. If you're an offensive line coach and you want to be an offensive coordinator, guys, I highly recommend that you start diving. First of all, you should be an expert in your field and with the position that you coach. But you also need to start diving into pass protections, how to protect the quarterback, how to throw the football, all the things, receiver routes, pass route combinations, all the things. You should really dive into, not only should you be an expert in your field and what you coach, but you should start diving in and start learning. And so all of the young offensive line coaches that aspire to be an offensive coordinator one day, man, start learning the game on pass pro, start learning the game on protection on quarterback, pass route combinations, all the good stuff. But yeah, Coach, Got to have a middle school clinic, got to go down to the middle schools and develop those kids. And if your middle school coaches don't know, show them, pour into them, man. I've seen so many middle school coaches, especially in San Antonio, they get paid well, man. Them middle school coaches don't leave. They literally stay put. They don't want to go to varsity. They don't want to move up. They get paid more being a middle school coach because they coach 4 sports. So they're there and like, man, these guys don't leave. Well, hey, we got to pour into them, man. We got what we got. So great question.
Coach,
Excellent,
I
coach.
have a question. How do you get that tight end who wants to be a pretty boy tight end to put his hand down and go be a tackle?
Coach, so great point. Great point. So we had this tight end, man. His name was Clay. Love the kid, man. He was a pretty boy, blonde, white boy. Like, man, like he was just one of them. He actually used to play quarterback, but he was a big, solid kid, man. And he didn't weigh much. He was about 190, 195, coach. But man, the way that you get those kids, coach, is that first of all, they got to buy into the position. And the only way to buy in, coach, is being around the offensive line. Because what's the one thing that they're good at is being brothers to the other guys, right? And so they take them under their wing. First and foremost, they ain't gonna go run routes until they become a good blocker. That's the bottom line for me. They're gonna do all their indie with the freaking O line. They're gonna learn how to be a run blocker first, and once they become good blockers at that, then they can graduate and go run routes and catch the football. But if at any point in time during the season, them suckers are not doing well on their blocks, I'm taking away their freedom to go run routes and go catch footballs, and they're going to be working with the offensive lineman. But man, I'll be honest with you, the way that I structured practice as an offensive coordinator, those guys, I gave my O line a ton of indie time, so I purposely would schedule the tight ends to be with them for a good portion of time for run scheme and for pass pro, because it's important for them to know all the things, even pass pro and run block. But yeah, coach, the pretty boys, man, they're tough, man. And so, coach, the receivers, sometimes I got pissed, coach, if our perimeter guys weren't blocking, coach, we were going to do a whole offensive unit blocking session, coach, where there was no footballs out there. Everyone was going to hit the sled. We were going to do a circuit of sled, drive blocking, cut blocking, all the things, coach. Like we were, yeah, I was hardcore, man, but I'm an offensive line guy. So, I was going to get those skill guys to be tough one way or another.
That's good. Thank you.
That's good coaching
Great question,
right there. We got time probably for one more, coach. You good with that?
Hey,
Yeah,
I got a question. If no one else has another one.
Go for it, coach.
Go for it, Larry. What's up, baby?
Hey, this is Coach Lumbreras. I feel like I got better, man, today, listening to the job. But I do want to know, after all that work that you're putting in with your old line, what's the best post-workout taco to eat after all that work in the valley?
Man, okay.
Because I stopped in San Benito. I cannot remember the name of this restaurant right by the stadium, but dude, the tortillas are the biggest I've ever seen, bro. And I know you
probably
got to
went to
go over there.
Vicky's.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So first and foremost, coach, man, every time I go down to the 956, coach, I go down there and my mouth starts to drool when I see the palm trees, coach, because I'm starting to think of this taco. It's the best taco. You can get it there's a lot of locations. Mark already knows what I'm talking about. Coach, you go to Stripes, coach, and you get in line and you get that Q taco with chorizo beans and you get 2 bacon strips instead of 1. Coach, the Q taco is potato and egg, beans, cheese, and a strip of bacon, coach. That's the best taco right there with the chocolate milk, coach, for the kids, because I don't drink chocolate milk no more, because as I've gotten older, guys, I can't handle chocolate milk no more. So straight up for the kids, coach, chocolate milk, I would buy a gallon of chocolate milk from H-E-B and I'd go get them Q tacos, coach. And oh, dude, they would love it, man. They loved eating them Q tacos. But yeah, great question, coach.
Yeah. Hell yeah. Good job, man.
Larry,
Appreciate
why
it.
the hell are you talking about tacos when you're in Lockhart? We're talking about barbecue or something like that.
I mean, dude.
I'll be there in 2 weeks.
Come on. Hey,
I'll be there May 11th. Marco, I'll be there May 11th. Let's go do lunch, man, if you're going to be there.
I'm going to be in Austin that week. I'm trying to think. I think Thursday is the day where I'm heading south Austin. I work my way down to Lockhart. So I'll get my schedule set. It's a new area for me. I haven't been to Austin. I've always been Houston. They took me out of Houston. So I got to find all new food spots because I had everything locked down on the southwest side of Houston.
Take
your
bro. Pick.
Shoot, I've been more, talking about tacos, and I know this is taking a turn, man, but I've been more on a chilaquiles kick, man.
I love chilaquiles, man.
That's the staple. I got to try if I try a new restaurant, I got to try their chilaquiles, and find out if they're good or not. If they use queso fresco, they're legit. If they just melt
It's
all
all
that mozzarella
it's all
shit on there, bah.
yeah.
This is really
Hey,
important
coaches.
topic right here.
Hey, coaches, real quick, guys. First and foremost, guys, lastly, again, thank you to the Hispanic Texas Hispanic Coaches Association. We appreciate everything y'all do to pour into our coaches, and I appreciate the opportunity. I know, a lot of people were like, "Yeah, you're going to do this clinic, guys." I love talking football, and so I literally put my cell phone number in the chat. Take it, save it, text me, anything you need, call me, man. If you have any issues with this, guys, call me. Like seriously, like I drive a lot to our schools. Like I work at a lot of different schools, and so I'm on the phone a lot. My brother actually makes fun of me because during the football season, I'm like the consulting offensive coordinator for like so many schools. So call me, text me anytime, guys. I got y'all. So appreciate the opportunity. Coach Gomez, thank you for setting this up. All of y'all coaches that are on here today, I appreciate y'all, man. Love y'all. God bless y'all, and I'll see you at the top.
Thank you, Coach Perez, and
Hey, 11th, man. We'll see you.
Thank you, and our sponsor to Go Route. Y'all go check out 360 Athletics. Coach Perez is doing great things out there. So thank y'all. This concludes the talk tonight. We'll have one more next week. So looking forward to ending this off right. All these clinics have been really great work and learned a lot of stuff.
Thank you, Coach. I'm reading the comments right here.